I would like to welcome Dr. Mariam Khater, who holds a PhD degree in speech therapy, who is also a behavior analyst who yet to get her certificate, but she is really a behavior analyst. In her training, in her practice, she's absolutely a behavior analyst without the certificate yet. I want to explore with her the area where speech therapy and applied behavior analysis overlap together, and how is she able to utilize both fields in order for her to help her students. Dr. Mariam, the stage is all yours.
When you ask me that you have to have ABA content in your lecture, you made like a brainstorm in my brain. And I just want to reflect about my experience from speech therapist to fit in the field of ABA. Like, because I feel like, I'm not sure, is there any speech therapist here? Okay, tahiyati. Okay. So basically when I start working with children with autism, it was like, with ABA, in the field of the ABA, it was like 2000. I was familiar with ABA a long time ago, but like I worked in a central base on ABA, it was 2013. And I had really struggled to fit my experience in that mold. It wasn't easy, to be honest, to work in their perspective. And I felt like there was like a barrier of communication and scientific wise, let's say. How can I convince them that this can work? And I think it's the same. Like I feel like it's a both side like barrier. We're gonna talk about this now. So at the beginning now, I just wanted to go to the regular boring part about what is the speech therapist in general do, what areas basically that we cover. So I know it's boring, but I will go over this really quickly just to identify what we are doing as a speech therapist, and then we will discuss where is the overlap. Is there an overlap? Can we work together? Is ABA is a different science from speech pathology? Is the methods that are using in this profession is absolutely different from the other? Let's see, and we discuss that. So we work on language. We work with any child, like adult, anyone, on his receptive language and his expressive language, how much he understands, how much he can express. We work on his speech. How clear is his speech? Is his articulation okay? And then, is the voice quality okay? Is he fluent? Does he have any stuttering, stammering, any of those disorders? And on the top of that, and this is really the most important part, that like, yeah, I know most of the speech therapists are identified, they will correct the S sound for your child, go to speech therapist. No, we work in communication. Communication means that we work with nonverbal children. We work in like enhancing the communication in general. Usually this is our reference, like this is a huge, I know, but this is like will tell us that this is what we are looking at as a speech therapist. And if there is like a missing or a gap in one of those, that means that we have to work on that. I love this model because I believe like everyone in the field should have a look on that, because you work with kids with different disorders. You have to figure out if there is any problem in one of those areas, that means there is a need to us as a speech therapist. So we start from here, look at and attend from the star. Where is the star? Is the child is looking, is attending? Can he interpret a nonverbal communication? If I do this for him, does he really understand? That means I don't know. Or does he understand those gestures or not? Can he hear? So hearing and listening is really important. And listening is like a huge thing, like how much the child can listen and understand. If he listens, this is okay, he hears. Hearing is that his physical ability to hear. But listen is his ability to understand and process what is the spoken language. So can he really listen to one word level, following one step direction? Is it two-step direction? I noticed something that you're only looking at following direction, but listening is a way much than that. We have to think about if the child really can understand the shortest story. The shortest story can be one sentence, by the way. Ahmed went to the supermarket and he bought 3 ice cream. This is a sentence, but it's a story. Who was there? Can he understand? So, and you can increase the complexity of that, how much the child can really understand. And I really encourage everyone to look at the hierarchy, what about like the milestones of listening comprehension for the children, because I worked in New England for 5 years, and I was working directly with those in inclusion and transition in the schools. One of the major deficits across almost everyone there was listening. They're attending to the teacher. They have difficulty really to understand what the teacher is talking about, because he cannot maintain attention for listening, auditory attention, I mean, for that long time. So it's really important to look at this, because if there is like, if we don't really start working on listening from early stages, we're gonna stuck with a child who's basically doing different behaviors in the school setting. Then understanding, okay, we go there, understanding the meaning, we said that. Then the expressive part is on red, you can see. Is the child have decided what idea he wants to respond, what he's gonna use to, how he gonna respond? Is their main idea? That means he understands everything. Now it's the expressive part. He has to determine, what shall I, she asked me, how are you? What shall I say now? He has to determine what he's supposed to say. So this is the main thing, that he knows what's supposed to be, what is the reply. Then he choose the vocabulary, then he plan it, he plan the grammar, he plan the sentence structure. Is he using like, syntax mean the grammar? Semantics means the meaning. Is he use the right meaning, the right grammar for that sentence? This is the expressive part. Okay, if he plan it right, can he say it right? And then we go again about the articulation part, the fluency, the everything else. So this is the chain of communication that we always look at. And any deficit in this part is our job as a speech therapist to work on that. So this is our role as a speech therapist in general. Like, this is something really general. I wanted to go in depth and give some examples and make you diagnose few cases, but it's really important to know about that. I remember very well one of, when I start working with BCBAs, and like I remember very well that one child was stuck in the classroom for 5 hours because they thought that he said Baba once, and he's refusing to say Baba again because he's really having a behavior issue. And when I start working with that child, I figure out that this child has verbal apraxia. What does that mean? Verbal apraxia, that means that the child basically have inconsistent errors. That he might say the word now, but he's not capable to say it again. It's motor planning disorder. So it's not the child, nothing wrong about the child behavior, it's the disorder itself. This is why I feel like miscommunication between the speech therapist or basically, if we're not really working, will lead us to those situations where basically if the child is not really diagnosed well, then maybe, I don't know, it will talk different places. Okay, but what is the communication component? What we need to have really proper communication? We really care about communication. I care about communication more than speech, to be honest, because we've seen lots of people who can really communicate using a sign language. It's a language. So it's very important to focus if there is kind of communication interaction, and this is a major area of like our role, to be honest, that some people will missing, really focusing in some details of like correcting the articulation or only requesting, but how requesting is very important. But how about like this kind of interaction and communication? This is the most important part in our role to work on. But what we need, what is needed to have really proper communication? We need a reason. We need a reason why the child needs to communicate. Maybe he's seeking my attention, maybe he wants to request something that he likes, many reasons, we know that. We need a partner. We need a partner. So the child who's basically walking around and scripting his favorite movie all the day, he's speaking all the time, but this is not communication. You know, because there is no partner that he can really communicate with. We need to understand the other partner, and kind of understanding, I have to understand those who's using AAC, nonverbal communication or PIC system. This is part of understanding, because he's speaking AAC, I speak Arabic or English, so we are not talking the same language. This is how we have to think about a partner in communication. If I have a child who's using AAC, it's a two-way communication. I have to use the device as equal as him or her. I have to use it. It's a two-way communication. So this is really important. And we need a way to communicate. It can be verbal, it can be non-verbal, it can be signed, it can be AAC, it can high-tech, low-tech, it can be anything. So SLB methods versus ABA methods. Do we have similar roles? I believe yes. Yeah, I believe there is. As I mentioned earlier, Mahmoud, I'm not like a behavior analyst yet. I'm still learning. But I started to study ABA, and I did all the training just to understand how can I fit, how can I understand my colleagues, and how can to fill this gap. To be honest, I felt it's needed because ABAs were majority in New England, and I wanted to like find a way what's going on. I want to understand that setting. And after I started doing that, I really appreciated how accurate is ABA. As Dr. Sean mentioned and Iman mentioned, you really appreciate numbers. And I believe one of the barriers between ABAs and speech is most of the speech don't have accurate data collection. Do you agree? You can say it, Adi, it's okay. So this is, I believe, and the way the objectives are written and the data collected is really like, it's really proper. I like that. There's an evidence, like you can see the difference with numbers and graphs, and I like that part. We suppose as a speech to do that, we should be that accurate, by the way, by science. يعني في العلم, this is how it's written, but some people, they don't really practice it this way. So, so after studying, I figure out that there is certain part still not covered in the modules that we're working on. For example, when I was talking with my colleagues, let's do like following the child lead. It was like, no, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna basically, like natural incidental teaching, how are you gonna measure it? We need numbers. So it was really a barrier to convince like others that it works, it's an evidence-based, till I like start searching myself, and I found like a treasure in ABA. And I think that filled the gap that I was looking for, which was the naturalistic developmental behavioral interventions, NDBI. NDBI solved the problem for me, and I felt, yes, ABA and speech therapists are the best team can work together, because we have those kind of theories that is evidence-based, and we can both implement them in a way that we both can be happy. And the child definitely will progress. So this like theory or intervention based on ABA and developmental psychology, and I'm happy that there is something like put everything together. Under the like NDBI, there is a group of other methods or like, let's say, examples that was created. Each one of those were basically, each one was building on the other. Like it's the same concept, but they build on the theory differently. So I will take you through those basically. This is like ABA, by the way. I'm talking about ABA that is based on developmental psychology. And the interesting part that when I was listing the overlap methods between speech and ABA, I found many of our speech methods were under ABA. And I was like, yes, this is what I want to see. No one knows where is it. It's here and it's there, like incidental teaching. We're going to talk about this now shortly. So that was a relief for me. I felt like, okay, this is exactly what we need to do, that the science build in each other, and you can create really good methods and developing those kind of resources. So, so it's NDB is used with children with autism during a naturalistic play-based interaction. As we mentioned, it's ABA and developmental psychology, and aim to create engaging, motivating environment where learning takes place naturally. And we're gonna have see more. This is lots of systematic reviews, lots of literature. It's a huge صراحة topic. And this morning I was listening for one of those podcasts, and I felt like this is what we should look at, especially with early intervention, especially with children like from age 2 and above. It's really important. If you guys, you're really targeting those population, please go ahead and have a look on those methods. So I only listed the 3 here, but there's even more. There is even more examples. So Denver, it's very popular, Early Start Denver Model, ESDM. It's an intensive, comprehensive early intervention program designed for children with autism from age of 12 until age of 48. It used developmental curriculum combined with ABA techniques, focusing heavily a lot on social communication, play, and imitation. And basically, it works to improve cognition, language, and adaptive behavior skills in young children. There's some studies, like many studies, like that show that lots of evidence that really improve the language, the IQ, and the social skills for those children. So there is a lots of publication about that. Pivotal responsive treatment. This is the second example of NDBI. It's focused to improve the pivotal areas of children development, such as motivation. Again, so you can see the overlap. Response to multiple cues, self-management, targeting these keys are really important in this approach. And as we mentioned, it's really working on improving the functioning, including communication and social interaction. We have also Jasper. This is my favorite. I love Jasper. It's really oriented, and it's really a huge program that has different. You guys, maybe you can have more time looking at this. So it works basically on joint attention, symbolic play. Joint attention, we all sharing attention with the child, like share his attention with me and with his mom or someone else. So joint attention is really important. And from what I've seen, like how you gonna write an objective for a child targeting joint attention. This is something that I struggle with at the beginning to put it in a way that works for us and works for ABA, because you have to create lots of setting then to measure. So it's nothing like discrete trial. You do working on joint attention is not easy at all. And we're going to show many examples and videos now. Simple play here in Jasper, they consider it as engaging in pretend play. But we have, in a speech, we have different perspective, because simple play is something like, I'm using this as a phone or as a com, something like that, using the item for something not related to the function of the item. This is simple play, or I think about this as an airplane. But it's okay, it's okay, for me I'm fine. Using pretend play, which support representational thinking and language skills, engagement, encourage longer, more meaningful interaction with others during play, and emotional regulation, helping children manage emotions and stay focused in social interaction. So this is the main components of Jasper. So Jasper includes, this is very important because we're going to talk about this later, about what is the methods that are used in the speech therapy scope of service. Following the child lead, modeling the behavior, using prompts and natural reinforcement, and involving parents in everyday interaction. Why I like Jasper? Because it really invests in family training. It's two-way. It's family-centered approach, and it's also a child-centered approach. So they work directly with the child, and they also train the parents to increase their skills of interacting with their child in natural setting at home and at school. So and involve parent in everyday interaction. These strategies are aligned with the speech-language development by prompting joint attention and play with foundational component for communication. Jasper had lots of publications that show the evidence of those. Now, what is the equivalent? Why they are overlap? Because we have something really similar that basically we as a speech therapist targeting. I only wanted to find what is the equivalent in ABA, and we did, and this is what we do. Milieu teaching, it's the same thing, but as milieu teaching is like, they do different version of it. So you have enhanced milieu teaching. Hanning program, Hanning is not only it's talk, it takes two to talk. They have so many programs, more than words, talkability, many others, basically, and it's a family-centered approach. You train parents for 8 weeks, and directly hands-on training how to interact with their child. And they have different programs for typically developing children and for those with the ASD. Functional communication training, it's very popular. Joint attention intervention, AAC, naturalistic language intervention, all these are used in speech pathology. And if you go in deep and look at those, it's very similar to what we've seen in Jasper. So this is why I feel like we are all on the same page. What do you think? Yes, we are. Yes, we have to be on the same page. Okay, now I'm going to give additional example. I will go deep in those methods or techniques that we as a speech therapist work. And to be honest, you can use these tools as one of the NDBI programs that I mentioned. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I know sometimes it's hard because ABA is very, it's not very rigid, wallah. It's not rigid. But because sometimes the data or the model that we usually see in the centers are a bit rigid, but it's not. So how can we fit those? And I need your help, guys, to tell me if this can work. You think about ideas, about the data collection, how can we do this, and all this stuff. So this is additional examples of the intervention that we can use. I'm going to talk about every single one of those, and I'm going to show you a video for every single one of those. So following the child lead, we talk about that. OWL, I'm going to explain it now. Incidental teaching is the thing that I've seen it under ABA, I've seen it under speech. I was happy to see that. Because that means they recruiting some methods, or we recruit, we don't know. But incidental teaching is the main topic that the NDBI based the theory on. It's an old term, it came in 40s, if I'm not mistaken. It's very interesting how these theories started. I was really interested to know which one started, which one came first, and what the other method add on the previous one. It's really nice. And we have the 4 S's, 4 I's, and ROC. Those are the methods that we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna start with OWL. What OWL represent? Okay, alhamdulillah, everything is there. Okay. O is observe your child. Look at him, what he's trying to tell you. I have to look at the time. Okay. Okay. I was a bit fast. Okay. So means that you have to give yourself some time to observe the child. I know most of the private clinic situation, because I'm new to this, sometimes the time means a lot, and you don't really have time to, enough time, let's say, to observe the child and what they are doing. Sometimes the child, why we observe? Because we want to see what the child likes. I remember very well, when I was a long time ago, 5 or 6 years ago, when I was doing Hanan training for parents, one of the children with ASD, she came, and we spent 45 minutes trying to follow her leads, to find anything that can interest her in the environment. And mom brought all her favorite toys and everything she likes, and we put everything around her. And I was like, Ya Allah, I hope she finds something that interests her, because I wanted to show mom that, look, we followed her lead, and she liked particular thing. We can build on that. Why we observe the child? Because we wanted to know what he is really interested in. And after 45 minutes, she left everything, and she was looking on a paint was on the floor, and there was an elephant. And we played with that paint, and we fed the elephant, and we give him some water, and we say, hello, elephant, and she replied. See, so if I was in a bit in a hurry, and I didn't really give her time, I would lose this chance. And it was very precious, because every time she came there, and she was like that elephant, and we talk, and it was her reinforcer, to be honest. And wait for what? Why we have to wait? Don't try to be always compulsive and try to reach the child. Give him some time. If you say, hi, elephant, for example, wait, step back, look at her, what she's going to do next. Can she build on the thing that you give her? If not, then and I'm going to show you examples with videos now how we can do that. Listen to your child. Listen about what they wanted to do, why they're doing those actions. I remember once one mom told me that my child, she was busy in her phone, and the child was trying to tell his mom something, and mom was busy, so she took her masbaha, I don't know what is that in English, and she threw the masbaha under the chair, and he was looking at his mom. Yes, now only when he threw her the prayer, something for prayer, under the chair, she looked at him. Then she figured out that he was looking to, his toy was under the chair, and he wanted his toy, and he needed her help to get the toy for him. So she didn't, from the beginning, if she did that, but how can we explain this if it's like a regular situation? Why you throw items? He wasn't throwing items. He was just wanted to tell you that there is my toy stuck under the chair, get the toy for me. So this is why we have to listen and observe and wait. So this is the OWL technique. It's one of the popular techniques that Hanan teach in all the programs. So we always start with this, OWL. Following the child lead involve like observing and responding to a child interest, choices, and behaviors during the interaction, and instead of directing the interaction. The adult allowed the child to focus, to dedicate and focus, and you know, every child has his own base, his own way of interest. You cannot really put like, or force the child to be interested in something that you want him to do. For example, I don't like football. I'm sorry, guys. I hate football, sorry. And my husband loves football. And he, now for I don't know how many years, he's trying to convince me that this is really fun, you have to watch. I will never listen. Just think about the child. If he doesn't like something, you cannot force him to teach it or to deal with it or to play with it. This is why we have to follow the child lead, because they have something else to like, you know, and they have their own base. Some of kids like slow playing, they are very relaxed. Some of them, they have fun, and you have to physically like do more activities, and you have to observe, you have to learn more about your child. And this is really important, that we have to give the time to the child to feel comfortable, and we have to observe and include his interest in everything. Unfortunately, this video, I just figured out that this is a picture. So following the child lead, this is the bad example of following the child lead. The other, so I wanted to ask you which one is the good example, but I'm telling you that the video is not working, is the bad example. This is my friend Sarah Shadid. She's one of the best speech therapists, and this is Omar, her son. How can I?
ايش تبي الزرافة؟ في عندي كمان زرافة صغير، نط تعمل جمب، نط، واو، جمب، 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 تعمل جمب.
Yeah, so what she did here, she followed her child lead, like he was holding an animal, he was like knocking there, then she think about how can I do, she imitated her child, and we're going to talk about this now. And then the child was following her, he held the other giraffe, and he said zarafa in Arabic, and he started to do the same, and he said jump. And this is what we need. There was an interaction, and he looked back at her, and this is joint attention. He was looking back and forth between the giraffe and his mom, and he copied her, and he said, jump. This is exactly the ideal example of following the child lead. Let's see more techniques. Incidental teaching, you all know incidental teaching. Basically, it's a child-centered approach used in a speech and ABA. I have to add that one. So it's used by both of us. It involves creating opportunity for the children to communicate in everyday situation where the adult follow the child interests and initiates interaction based on those interests. خلينا نشوف فيديو. So the child was busy with like this bottle, and he was shaking it, and then the teacher take that opportunity. It's happened incidentally. She didn't maybe plan for it, and you should plan for some situations like those. But here she was like, he's shaking it, and then she did the same, and then she take that opportunity to teach him how to request. It was very incidental. And he didn't say it verbally, then he pointed to himself and she helped him that she knows that he's nonverbal, but at least he communicated, he looked at her, and this is what we need, the joint attention. It's very essential skills that we, unfortunately, we miss most of the time. We don't teach the child to do joint attention, and this is very important. So this is a good example of working on that. This is another approach that we are using. I put this one here because it's really important to highlight those. I know it's a very simple thing, but it's very important to use. 4S's mean that we have to use certain techniques when we communicate with the child. We have to say this. I always recommend, I tell moms, like, please don't tell the child, hey, Abdullah, we're going to go to your uncle's house. Go ahead now. Where is your green T-shirt? Go directly to the point. Put your green T-shirt on. Put your shoes on. Don't give this lots of talking, unnecessarily talking, because what you really want, you want your child to focus and do the task. So make sure when to speak more and when to speak less. What is the language needed for the child? How much he can really understand? Most of the time, the child can really focus on the first part of the language, of the spoken language, basically. So make sure that the information that you want to add at the beginning, put on your shoes. Then you say, we'll go to Beit Ammo Khalid, and all this story, the end of the story. So make sure you give the right amount of speech when you talk with the child. Stress what you want to this is very important. Like, there's many studies also for children, even when they are fetus, like very young, in very young age, when the mom are pregnant with the babies, they found that the child, from the age of 6 months, will process or basically pay attention to the words that are stressed within a speech. When I say, go put on your shoes. Go put on your shoes. I stress shoes. So most probably he will learn these words that I highlighted. This is why it's very important as a speech language therapist or even ABA to encourage mom to use the baby talk. You know the baby talk? When moms talk to the baby, like, hey, Habibi, I love you. All this is really important. مثلا, min Habib, mama, whatever, all this really important because those highlighted words have more chances to be acquired from the child more than the others. So you have to stress these words. You have to have this intonation. You have to have this emotion when you talk to your child. I love this picture. I love your outfit. Wow. Those words, make sure if you want to teach the child a word, for example, you're teaching him colors. This is a beautiful red shirt. Red shirt. You have to highlight that word because we want these words to be stressed because I'm teaching him this word, so I have to make sure that I highlight these words. Go slow. You have to go slow. And you have to follow the child base. As I mentioned earlier, some children, they need sometimes to really feel comfortable and start interacting with you. Don't be very compulsive when you deal with the child. Give him some time. And as you all know, sometimes it takes a few sessions before you really build a relationship with the child. It's very important to build a relationship. And DBIs is one of the major things, especially like the Denver one. It's focused a lot on building a relationship with the child because you will be the main reinforcer for the child. If you spend fun time with the child, if he really likes interacting with you, you will be the reinforcer. He will appreciate your verbal praise. Most of kids with autism, not all of them, they really appreciate the verbal praise unless they have a good relationship with you. So spend some time building this relationship before you go directly to implement those objectives and taking a data. Please give this time because I believe it's needed. And whenever you reach that point where you are the favorite person, when the child come here and mom tell me when I told he didn't want to do anything until I tell him you're going to go to see Dr. Mariam, and he jumped, then he wanted to go. This is my best reward ever. When I know that the child loves coming to my place and to come over and play with me. I want to be the reinforcer for the child, and this is really important. You have to show. Why you have to show? I'll give you a funny example about my daughter. She was like 1.5 years old, and I was washing the dishes, and she was in my behind. and she was asking me, Mama, what's this? شو هذا؟ شو هذا؟ بقولها حمص. Hummus. And she said, hummus. And she was repeating. I was super happy. My daughter know now the word hummus. Then I figured out that she was pointing to orange. We spent another a year teaching her that this is Yamama orange, hada burdan, and this is hummus. But she spent one full year to change her mind and like put. So you have to make sure that you and the child are looking to the same example. You know, it's really important. So you have to take in consideration that, bathroom. This is a bathroom. Look, it's a bathroom. And you point and you show and you give a picture and you make him touch it. Orange, look, this is orange. Let him touch the orange. And just to keep in mind that the child, the typically developing child, needs to hear, to listen, not to hear, to listen to the word more than 300 times before he acquires it and use it. How much we spend time to really give this input to the children. I'm talking about typically developing children. I'm talking about like all since birth. Yani since birth he's listening orange apple, but he doesn't really build the connection of the meaning and how he pronounce it till like long time. But just keep this in mind. If you want a child to learn fast, you have to expose him to those words repetitively, especially with ASD children. So this is why kids with autism loves routine, and you have to follow the routine. Every day the mom addresses the child, she has, this is a t-shirt, this is a short. Every single time she do this task, which is a daily routine, she has to name those words if she wants her child to know the words. And as I mentioned, like those repetitive routines will create a kind of comfortable learning for the child, because if he can really predict what will happen, he will go through this. Just think about the story that if your child like a story to read every day in the night, he will predict, he will continue the sentence. They love nursery rhymes because once you say the wheels on the bus, he will say go round and round, because they know it. It's very repetitive. They learn with it. So this is also this is the 4I strategies. Now we're gonna see videos. I know it's a bit boring, but this is also a 4Is. What does it mean? Include your child interest. As we mentioned, if I don't like football, I'm not gonna watch football. You have to learn, like I like history, like movies, historical movies, so you can it's a temptation for me to watch that, but not football. So we have to learn what the child likes and how to include his interest. Don't force your child to do something that he doesn't want. If we know what the child likes, we can build a lot in that. If I have a child who loves jumping, I will jump with him on trampoline. And we can build on that. You know, autistic children love to do jumping. How you can create that moment to make it like interactive session, let's say. While he's jumping, you can play with him, freeze or stop. And then the child, with time, you know, the stop means that I have to totally stop. And yellow, 1, 2, 3, go. And then you start jumping again. And then you can build on and on. You teach him to understand the word stop, and he will follow that direction. You will teach him that let's start, 1, 2, 3, go. That means we have to begin. You can build a lot on that. You can maybe start doing something else. You count 5 different animals, then we jump. Let's do, for example, let's name your brothers and sisters' name, then we can jump. All this of information, he will be really motivated. Why? Because he's doing what he likes. You know, so if you tell me that, okay, Mariam, you're gonna get your shawarma every time you read a book. I read a book every day. You know, so it's really important because I like shawarma. Okay, so interpret, as I meant, the example I gave about that mom that her child throw the masbaha under the chair. If she took a moment to understand the child, her child won't do that behavior. So we have to understand their attempt. Sometimes the child will try to tell us something, but we don't understand. It might be a gesture, it might be like moving around something, or you know, those kind of like pulling your hand towards something, even if you say one word. What we do in those situations, like my child pull my hand toward the fridge, then he wants me to open the fridge. You can teach him to point at this stage. If he can point, you can teach him a word. So wherever the child level, you build another level on that. حبة حبة زي ما بيقولوا, like a sign. If he knows signs, you start with word. Then you start with 2 words. If he say 1 word level, you add, okay, apple. Let's eat apple. Eat apple. Again, stress, eat apple. And then if it's a sentence with 2 words, you go further, 3. And if it's 4, and you on and on and on, until you build a language and you have like this complete language structure. So it's very important to know where's the child, to understand what he wants to say, and then we help him to say it, not punish him. It's very important because I've seen many examples where parents, no, you have to say it. Say, I want apple. You have to say, you said that before. You have to say, and I keep insisting on that. She's punishing the child. Please, you give 1 or 2 chances, any opportunities, and then you give it to child. For example, right, because I don't want the child to feel like punished every time he wants to request. Because the other thing that he will do and grab the apple. He doesn't need me, khalas. I should make it fun. Make sure that the session is fun. And the child likes the session because you want to build on that. It's not only knowing the apple. I want him to come and be interested for me to give him the apple. Smells good. I make it fun for him. I'll make it love asking me for getting things. So this is really important. Okay. And imitate the child. This is really important. That I have a question by Eden. Do we have to imitate everything the child do? Absolutely. What your answer? No, we don't imitate. Unless if it's something that, we don't imitate hitting, something like harm. We don't do that. But whatever the child doing, we have to wait and listen and imitate what he's doing. And I'm going to show now examples how to do imitation in a way. Because think about it. How are you going to feel if someone is imitating you? Think about it. The child will feel that I have control over that, and it's very important when we think about dealing with children that we have sharing control over the session. I know sometimes we feel like we have to be impulsive, do this, discrete trial, do that, point to this. It should be both-way control, like the child, I follow the child lead once, then I know sometimes it's hard with certain cases with autism, but keep it in mind because you don't want to put the child in a point where he do some behaviors because I didn't follow his lead or I didn't include his interest. So it's really important also in preventing kind of problem behavior or challenging behavior from happening. So if the child jump, I will jump with him. He will feel like, he's controlling me. Whenever he do something, I just copy him. So, and he knows that I'm paying attention to him. I'm validate what he is doing. And I really appreciate what is he doing. And I can build on that. So it's not totally the child controls, but basically I give him a part of the control, but I'm going to build on that. I'm smart enough to build on that. He will jump, but I will let him respond to stop and to start jumping and say, go. And 1, 2, 3, go, and maybe something else. So it's very important when you imitate the child to have a plan. What shall I build on that movement? What shall I else can add? In truth, basically, when you feel that you are following their way of playing, try to intervene. Now you can, that the child knows, she's copying me. She do whatever I want to do. She jumps like me. Then you start to add your intervention. Now you start to add the component that you want to add to the child. It can be anything. It can be following directions. It can be understanding one word. It can be saying one word or a sentence. So it's very important to give the child that feeling. Then we can add on that. Here's one example. And I want you to think about what techniques the dad follow in this video.
Oh, all the way up and all the way down. Can I go all the way up and all the way down? All the way up, all the way down. All the way up, all the way down. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Anyone needs participation here? We have another So what do you think which technique the child applied here?
The child was flapping the hands.
Okay, what did dad do from the techniques we discussed earlier? He followed the child leads, yes. Did you see the child, the dad waiting? He was looking at his son while he was doing this. And thank you. Okay. And then he did the owl, right? He observed, he waited, and then what else he did? Opportunity to add something. This is what to teach the child. Yes, you teach him up and down, up and down. What else? He imitated the child. Huh? He imitated the child. So the child was like playing, writing, then he started doing the same, writing the line. And what the child did after the dad copied him or imitated him, he did the writing the same direction. So when you imitate the child, this will increase the opportunity for the child to copy you, because you teach him, it's okay if your dad, the big adult, copy a child, and it's okay for you. So you give him that flexibility that it's okay, I can copy my dad only if he copies me. So this is really important. And he did really, really important thing here. The child looked at the chalk and again at his dad. This is joint attention. This is joint attention. So if I set objective for a child to increase the frequency of joint attention for the child, I will play with the child and I will count those responses where the child looked back and forth to his dad as a correct, because he looked at him. I know it's a time consuming. I know it will take some time to create those opportunity and get those results, but this is the needed. And why we encourage most of the time parents to do this, because they spend long time with their child, and this is a natural setting. The child is everywhere, all over the place, and they can follow him, follow his leads, and do this. So it's really important for us to teach the parents what does it mean to teach the child joint attention and why it is important. The most predicted skill with children with ASD that can basically predict their progress is joint attention. It's, if the child have good joint attention, it's even better than eye contact. Eye contact doesn't really count much, but joint attention is really count a lot. This is why we have to invest teaching the child, and we have to invest the time to create those opportunities to teach the child how to make joint attention. So let's go to the next. Okay, this is another technique, the last one. It's called rock. So R is repeating what you say. Repetition, as I mentioned, 20, 200, 300 times for the child too. So repetition is really important part. So rock, R is repetition. O is offer the opportunity to send a message. C is cue if needed, give a prompt, and you are experts. AB is you are expert in giving prompts, but I always recommend giving a natural prompt, like something looks very natural, and the reinforcer should be also natural, so the child will appreciate my verbal praise and the hug I gave him and the touch and all these. And keep it fun. It's very important to keep it fun. Please make sure that the child is happy when you're really interacting with him. This is really important. This is another example. Let's see the last two videos.
Want to read the 10 little ladybugs?
We will compare the first and the second video, then we will talk.
Little ladybugs skipping on a gate. Along came a spider. What would you like to do? Would you like to read another story? Or would you like to look at the words you can spell? Is that what it is? So which one that's there? Words. These are different words. James, stop, go. Bye. Bye. That says bye. 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 The boys say bye. Again. Bye. Bye.
Can you the other video now?
Bye. Bye. Hi. Bye. Bye. Hi. Hi.
I love this video. I love this video. So let's talk about the first video. What she did at the beginning of the first video, she was reading a book for him. He was interested? No, he didn't like it. So she didn't really force him. No, you sit and you, no. Then he moved to another place. And basically he picked something really, we might see it as a useless. He was making fun of, yes, hi and bye. But how she built on that? Number one, she did really something important I didn't mention earlier, that she was sitting on the eye level of the child. It's really important. Whenever you have like, it's a table sitting, you have to make sure that your chair in the level of the eye on the child's eyes or level. And then basically she showed him the pics, which is really important. Show, remember? Show. She showed him and she pointed on everyone because he was interested, but she doesn't know what he was interested in. So she was naming many pictures. Then when she said hi, he started laughing. Then she stopped. The child liked hi, then she stopped and she wanted to build on that. True? Then she gave him hi and then bye and he was laughing and he loved that part. Then she started to build on that. What she did later, when the second video, she was hiding under the blanket and she didn't cover herself to say bye unless he exchanged the picture. So now she's teaching pics. She's teaching him exchanging a picture for communication. After she handed him bye, she did his preferred like moves. And this is really important. You have to think about it. Sometimes it's incidental. Sometimes even myself, I don't have a clue how to do it. Last week I have a child who's 2 years old, and it's very hard to work with children at that age. He's very, very, very tiny. So I have to sit on the floor and run after him and walking on my knees and do all this. In my age, طبعا, this is hard. And I was doing all that, but the only thing that attracted his attention, that he was like sleeping, and I started to pretend that I'm sleeping with him. I copied him, and then I started to snore, and he laughed a lot. Then I teach him, okay, sleep, 1, 2, 3, sleep, and then wake up, and he loved that part. And we spent like half an hour playing, and he has very, very few words. He said sleep on the same session. He says wake up. It wasn't clear, but he did that. And then 1, 2, 3, he was tell me the sign, because 1, 2, 3 means that I have immediately to sleep. And I was like playing with him like a clown, and it was really fun. So this is what we think about, those kind of moments that we increase this kind of interaction. This is the end of my session. Sorry, I talked a lot. Oh, sorry. Okay. If anyone has any question. Okay. Alaikum assalam.
I actually wrote a few, if that's okay.
No worries, sure.
Okay. So you spoke about verbal apraxia in the beginning.
Verbal apraxia, yes.
Yes. So I have a 4-year-old son, and he goes to Sanad. He's a student there. I'm a parent. I'm not qualified or anything. I just try to learn as much as I can so I can help him. Yeah. So he's not mute, but I think we recognized and noticed, but by the age of like 2.5, he was saying a few words and then he stopped saying those words as well. And we weren't sure. And that's where we got him assessed. We still don't have an official diagnosis for him yet.
As a ASD, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
But he has very evident signs, like he has sensory issues, like he has sensory integration issues as well. His speech is delayed. He still doesn't say words. And the thing is, he knows how to say the words. Like he knows how to say mama. He knows how to say baba and a lot of other words. So I really, really, really have to push him through. And what I'm struggling currently is he is taking therapy, right? So he goes to the early intervention program in Sanad, and they teach him the school system, and he has his OT sessions as well. But I do not know whether I should take OT and speech language therapy hand in hand, or do I wait for him to progress at a certain point where I can actually start speech language therapy separately? So I just needed a bit of guidance on that first, because you said that I've always learned so far that it's linked 100%. At the same time, I see a lot of progress in other things, alhamdulillah, but in terms of speech, he's still where he was.
Okay. Okay, now it's very tricky to have a child with autism and verbal apraxia because we have 30% with children with autism will not speak for no clear reason. It's very difficult. When I start I'm very careful to give the diagnosis of verbal apraxia to children with autism unless if I'm 100% sure because the motivation to speak is not there. So how could, and we have certain criteria, so it is difficult for the child to say, to put word in a certain sequence. You can say, sometimes he say the word mama, then mum, then ma, then it's not always the same, inconsistent error, and he can have kind of a grouping. You see that he's trying to say something, but it's not coming out. But there is an intention to say something, but he has difficulty. To be sure, we have to go through assessment for apraxia, you know. And as I mentioned, for me, child with autism, it might be he's not motivated to speak rather than that he's not able to speak.
Right.
There's a difference between both.
Absolutely.
But if you see the child is really motivated to say words, but the words is not coming out, you know, then you have to investigate for something else. Sometimes when I have like certain concerns, I don't tell parents that I have concerns about verbal apraxia. So, but I use the same method of therapy because dealing with child with apraxia has different treatment method comparing with all other speech and language impairment. It should be lots of drilling. There is certain hierarchy that you have to do. It's not, you should find really good speech therapists to work on that.
Right.
Your child, 4 years old, still not saying words. You have to see speech therapy for your child. You have to.
Right.
And you have to think about AAC. AAC will not prevent your child from speaking.
That was one of my questions.
No evidence, no literature, no research prove that if you use AAC, you prevent the child from. It's the other way around. It's not. There's no evidence based about that. It will make the child speak, but there's lots of study that showed it will help in verbal as well, but it's not still proved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wrote some. Yeah, so I think I already asked, since he's already taking group occupational therapies, and you are definitely recommended that he should start as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
As a priority, correct?
Absolutely.
Right. I think I'll leave it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any other?
Hi.
Hi.
So I work mainly with students who are above 8 years old. So some kids who have very few words. So we are always confused, should we introduce AAC or should we build on those words? So what is your recommendations?
I always recommend to start both and give the child chances. Why? Because as I mentioned earlier now, AAC will help the child. Basically, whenever he presses the button, if he's using, for example, logo, every time I want, how many times he will listen to that? And remember what we said about like repeating, this is like input for the child. So it's really important to use both because we cannot predict the future. We cannot ensure that he's going to be verbal. And in the parallel, I used AAC with a child inclusion was not in like the transition classroom. He was totally intelligent. And I remember very well when I did observation inside the classroom that he got the highest mark in English. So his language is perfect. But when we did the observation, he was like going back and forth to the teacher, trying to tell her that he needs a charger for his iPad. She didn't understand him. He had severe verbal apraxia where he was very slow and he didn't like when he spoke about different methods it can be right. His writing is also even worse because he has limb apraxia and so on. So typing and writing was not an option. So we thought about AAC. I was very hesitant to take that step because he's a brilliant child in project. Trust me, in 1 month, he was just looking at the AAC, not even navigating it. He was like telling me, he would go to dinner and he said, I'm gonna go to the mall. That he was not only scanning. He needed that visual cues, and this is very, very important to kids with verbal apraxia. He is super hard. And he was saying, I'm going to go to the mall. My brother will go to McDonald's. I'll go to Burger King because I love their fries more. Just really scanning. So give him that push. So don't be hesitant at all. I'm a big fan of this.
So you said that it's been benefits to that.
Yes.
One more question is that you said that when a child is communicating with AAC, we should communicate with him so they answer.
to be elaborate more on this?
Really brilliant examples. It's a two-way communication. Like if you wanted to ask the child, how are you? I know you can't say it verbally. Go on that, because you model how to navigate for how are you. So you teach him, you model the thing in front of him so he's learning. And basically you break the barrier that work, because the child is the only one who's using this device. You should be a partner using the same device. Imagine if you speak German and only speak French. I never speak French. Just think of how can you communicate. He's speaking AAC, you don't speak. How are you going to come? You have to do that. And you have to do it in how you interact. By the way, there's a lots of literature about using AAC with NDVI. It's brilliant. Please go through that, how to use it, because it gives you that natural opportunity how to use that. For example, if the child in a circle time, please put the calendar in this AAC and give an opportunity to teacher to ask him what the date is today. You can ask him, he's counted in the circle, even if he was not verbal. You read it with your child. Just okay, the little red riding hood. What was him? Guess what? Where it is a cluster. And who was there? It's a wolf. Where's the wolf? Beside the wolf. And you would teach him how to navigate every single word, and you read a function of what you are doing while you're doing like natural everyday routine and activities with him. So it's really important. I remember one of the girls, she was 12 years old, and she was non-verbal. And I remember very well the example that she was teaching me. She wanted to tell me, I am the mermaid story. She doesn't have the word mermaid in her AAC. What she done, she made the gate, she opened her AAC logo, she pointed to girl, then to a fish,
then to a feet. Wallahi, yani she was very creative. And then I figure out, see, they have the content, they have the language. Think about this girl if she doesn't have that tool. Think about how many ideas she has, and we prevent her from using. This is her voice, this is her tongue, this is her expressive language that she will never use unless if we provide her with this device. We have always to start with both. If you feel that the child, as early as possible, please do, please do. AAC is really important.
Thank you so much. It was very informative session. Thank you.
Sorry to bother you again.
No worry.
Do you have any specific recommendations if we should get the devices itself, or should we get like apps to download?
Wallahi, very limited options. You have Prologo to go, you have Touch Chat, and you have TD.
I just want to write that down because I'll forget.
Please do. Is your child Arabic speaking or only English?
English and Urdu mainly, but
okay.
Arabic he listens because of the Quran, but not speaking.
Not okay.
Yeah.
Like Touch Chat, they have a voice in Arabic, but not the language, and all the time I have to modify it to dialect because it has a standard Arabic voice. So assalamu alaikum, it's not the dialect. So I have to basically to edit every single word. So it's good. Only
so
English.
What apps are you recommending?
Prologo to go, and this month they have 30% or 50% discount. It's a bit expensive. It's 1,000 dirham. So this month in October, it's they have discount, and it's only compatible with iPad, unfortunately. Prologo to go. Mean? I heard about it. We also command TD something they told, but I don't have access to those. So please, yani, if you have any, you can in Senate if you have any of those like applications and available and with your speech therapist, then have a look and try to figure out with like YouTube. You're gonna find everything there. What's the difference? Which one is better? Prologo is popular because it's been the first. Yes.
يعطيك العافية دكتورة.
الله يعافيك.
وياك مضاري من الكويت.
أهلا.
الله يسلمك. ولية أمر للطفل من ذوي الهمم.
الله يحفظه.
الله يسلمك. دكتورة أنا عندي سؤالين. السؤال الأول شنو اللغة المستحبة يعني نعلمها حق أطفال متلازمة الداون؟ دائما يقولون العربي أفضل. لا تعلمونهم انجليزي. السؤال الاول هذا. السؤال الثاني دكتوره ليش جلسات تعديل السلوك والنطق والتخاطب توقف لما 12 سنه بعدين بعد
لا ولا مره. مين قال بالعكس العمر كله. يعني طالما الطفل محتاج بتستمر. في اشخاص بتستمر معهم. يعني انا شفت طفل توحد 37 سنه عمره، مش طفل سوري، رجال توحد 37 سنة 37 years old. فما في مشكلة أبدا إنه يكمل. ما بعرف إذا في الكويت كيف السيستم انت بتراجعي في مستشفى مبارك السالم ها؟
اي دكتوره، يعني دائما يقولون لين 12 سنه وبس خلاص نوقف الجلسات.
انا بقول لك ليش، لانه هو توقعاتهم انه بعد عمر معين ما في لغه منطوقه راح تكون، بس اللغه مش بس منطوقه. اذا بتذكر في بدايه المحاضره، التواصل اهم من النطق. إن الولد ياخذ ويعطي معي، يكون عنده وسيله تواصل، حتى لو وسيله تواصل غير لفظيه زي هذا الجهاز. هو بيضغط على الجهاز، الجهاز بيتكلم عنه، بس هو بيطلب بالجهاز، هو بيعبر عن مشاعره بالجهاز. فهو كثير مهم انه يكون في اخصائي مسؤول عن التواصل. اتس نوت اونلي يحكي. 30% من اطفال توحد بيحكوا من غير سبب احنا ما بنعرفه. فكتير مهم يعني أي لغة. She's asking about which language to choose. I'm gonna answer in Arabic then in English because I think this is important. Yeah. عادي لو حكيت إنجليزي؟ عادي؟ Okay. So basically it depends. This is the family choice. There is nothing in literature can prevent you from teaching 2 languages or even 3. Nothing. If you hear from any speech or doctor use only one language, this is not evidence-based. No literature shows that using 2 languages will affect the child with language disorders, even if he's autism or Down syndrome. But I recommend all the time to use the mother tongue. If you're using Arabic at home, use Arabic. If you speak Urdu at home and English at school, it's okay. Trust me, with time he will have both. And also with children with who's using التواصل غير اللفظي AAC, I have two users, one in Arabic, one in English sometimes, because I want him to communicate in both languages. It's extra work to a speech therapist, but you have to do it in both languages. If he's in UAE, I think it's always needed to teach the child English beside Arabic, because the community and wherever you go, English is a main language, become a main language. But it's very essential and important that you speak Arabic with your child at home if you are speaking Arabic at home. Think about your child. If you're speaking with your husband in Arabic and with the other kids in Arabic and he doesn't know Arabic, that means you increase the isolation that the child has. He already has this kind of isolated socially, and you're not teaching him your mother tongue that he uses at home. This is add an extra isolation socially, on your child. So I prefer personally, this is my opinion, to go directly to high tech, because it's one-time learning. خلاص, he knows now AAC and high tech, and you can build on that. Please tell me when to stop, huh, Mahmoud? He will know when to, basically from the beginning you teach him an AAC and you start simple, then you increase gradually, but it's the same system for him. It's the same simple system, because it's very important what kind of symbols, the picture that you are using in those apps. And this is really important. I've seen many parents and people working in the field using random pictures because this is a real or non-real. Sometimes it's okay, but you should have a system for the pictures. It should be a simple system that the child you follow, because it's not only for the board maker. If you know the board maker app, it's not only a random thing like all Prologo, TouchChat, all these apps. They're using board maker samples, and there's a reason behind it, and there is a research behind it as well. So please make sure whenever you create a textbook for your child, what kind of symbols you are using.
Okay, another question, sorry. So what do you think about reinforcement system? You mentioned that social praise and, yes, good job, I love you, I love the way that you did it. Usually, or sometimes we get into conflict with speech therapists about the reinforcement. You guys don't use it a lot, and you don't believe in
I use the ABA ones.
I know, not specific.
But I use both. I work with for token system. I use everything, edibles, everything. I use it all. But at the same time, I create other opportunities to tickle the child and make these activities kind of the reinforcement, and hug him and give him, if he's comfortable, if this reinforces. Some kids like hugging them is punishment. So you have to make sure that, you're using something that the child likes. Some of them will like singing, some of them like carry them, and, it depends. But I believe you can do both. You can start with the ABA one and think about the others in different settings or different activities. But you have to teach the child. I am a strong believer of the reinforcement system and the token, and you increase and you fade and all these now.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think we're done with the questions. Dr. Mariam, can't thank you enough. Your session is absolutely amazing. A lot of information. We learned a lot today, and you have been, just mentioning the most important things that I wanted to everyone to listen to and follow up with you. Again, one more time, thank you so much for coming all the way from Abu Dhabi, you and Dr. Sean as well, to join us in the mini conference today. I still have to respond to your to few points.
Okay.
However, one more time, thank you so much. If you would like to join Dr. Sean. It's absolutely outstanding to hear all of these information and see how we can still work together. Like after all, we still can work together. We are doing the same things in different ways. I want to, before I respond to the points that I wanted to mention to Dr. Mariam, and I just would like to mention that unfortunately Mr. Musab will not be able to make it today. He woke up this morning and he's not feeling well, so he wouldn't be coming. However, as you saw, I have seen also Dr. Mariam lecture to be very behavior analytic in nature as well. And we still, as promised, we're going to be delivering the 4 CEUs for all of those who attended and wants the certificates. Now, to get back to Dr. Mariam points, I agree with her with the concept of allowing a lot of natural or naturally occurring reinforcers. That's very important, definitely. In my practice personally, and I believe all of us are doing the same, sometimes we are starting with the artificial reinforcer in order to get the student attention and to maintain the level of motivation. But eventually, I definitely want to use the natural reinforcer. In order for me to do that, maybe in the very beginning, like good job wouldn't mean anything. But if I am pairing good job with something, sweet or something like that, it eventually, like good job is going to be meaningful for the child and it's going to be more natural. Maybe I will use a piece of chocolate for a child who's just brushed his teeth. But eventually, what I really want is the feeling of the clean teeth to be the reinforcer for him. This is eventually what I want to see. So, yes, 100%, I agree with you also with the concept of, that's a very big area between speech and applied behavior analysis. When we have the incidental teaching and naturalistic teaching, that's a very big area. Jasper is one of those models. By the way, also for all the Arabic staff and all the Arabic parents as well, Denver model, the early start Denver model has been translated very well by Dr. Amal Gabr, Ahlam Gabr, Dr. Ahlam Gabr. And Dr. Ahlam Gabr is actually, she studied the course sequence leading to the BACB certificate, the BCBA certificate, but she didn't take the exam, but she's very good. She studied applied behavior analysis and then she translated it in Arabic, and it's available if you want to order it. But I have seen the book and I read it, and I love the model, and it's very, very parent friendly as well when you read through it. And it's all about, capitalizing on the natural opportunities that comes your way to teach your child. So it's a very good one, similar to Jasper and all. What I want to say also, Doctor, is one thing that about the data collection. You're right. There is a model that specifies you have to take 10 data points or 9 data points or, you know, this amount of data points. And sometimes it does get in the way of, you know, you're trying to, you know, capture the moment to teach the child, and sometimes it does get in the way. But a good behavior analyst would understand that there are models, that even if none of those available models is working for you, that you can create your own system that will work, serve the purpose, and in the same time it's not getting in your way. This is how I see it, and this is why we have the cold probe methodology of, you know, collecting data, or a trial by trial, or session by session, or this or that. All of these are different models of data collection, but you really, similar to when we saw Dr. Sean, the model that he used the BST, right, as you know, the way of teaching, but he actually analyzed the situation and then came up with, okay, I know the procedures, but I'm going to create something that works for that child. And this is the whole concept, that a lot of new behavior analysts, they don't get that part as well. They think that what is there is what is there, and we cannot change it, we cannot be creative. However, being a speech therapist is all about being creative. Being an applied behavior analyst is all about being creative. Being a teacher is all about being creative. So this is what I wanted to communicate with you. And again, thank you so much for all the information. It was a great learning opportunity for me as well. At the same time, we're coming to an end to such a great day that I enjoyed with all of you guys being here. We spoke about applied behavior analysis in different settings, how we can support each other, and we shared information. Something that happened with me over the weekend, and I want to share with you, and I think everyone will be able to, you know, it will touch something with him. I was driving my car, and I had my daughter and my niece as well. Both of them were in the car, and one of them, I can't remember who, one of them is telling the other, you know what, I hate the Arabic teacher. And I was like, I listened, and then I start to think, okay, what if your student got the ability overnight to speak fluently? What is he going to say about you? What is he going to report about you? It's a very important thing that, you know, just, it happened, and, you know, I heard that, I hate that teacher a lot, but it was the first time that I actually think about it. What if my student, who I'm seeing every day, got the ability overnight to speak fluently, full language, and communicate perfectly? What is he going to report about you? This is a very, very important question for all of us to think about. And this is partially why we always need to improve ourselves and do the best that we can to help our students and grow and become better. This is the first mini applied behavior analysis conference. Looking forward in the near future to have a full conference over days and include all of the team members here and all of the colleagues to be speakers, and we do better, and we have it as a habit. Again, one more time, thank you, Dr. Sean, thank you, Dr. Mariam, and Dr. Lama, and Iman Abu Shbab, even Musab, even though he's not here. I want to thank Phoneme for allowing you to come. Phoneme Center for allowing you to come. I want to thank New England Center for allowing you to be part of this event, and you also for Camellia and Midcare Hospital. I want to thank Sanad Village, and I want to thank the Sustainable City as well for giving us the support to run this. Again, thank you all. Until next year. Thank you so much.